Come on in, sit down. You cut the hardcore crew chewing the fat. You cut us shooting the shit. You cut us in the moment.
Turning video games, he's not actually doing any work. They are just using his likeness and paying him for it. So anything's better than nothing. If somebody said to me, "They are, Andy, you've done nothing for a year, there's $10,000, I'd be well fucking chuffed.
Well, I think perhaps that's the case, but I think also what he's saying is, you know what? If you want me to do it again, maybe you should pay me a little bit more. And you know what? WWE is kind of the marketing whore. Let's be fair. Let's be honest about these guys.
Well, the only thing is, they've always been the same. If anyone think like people will bitch and moan and say, "Oh, fucking John Cena gets $3 million a year," he's probably making the WWE $20 million. So all Vince is doing is whoring everybody. To be honest, he always has done that. He doesn't give a shit about the talent. All he gives a shit about is how much money they can make him.
You want someone like Mick Foley who's going to give them all the right things. Why not? It makes no sense to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lance, what do you think? Do you think that Mick Foley's being unreasonable, or you think that do you think he was right to say, "Hey, you know what? Not enough"?
Well, for one, he's being Mick. Because how many times since he's quote left or retired from the business, he went from there back to TNA, did a book deal, then came back. But since he's not a competitor anymore, it's all about, just steal a line from Vince, it's all about the money and about the cheap pop.
You know what? Maybe it's just not enough money. And he specifically said it. He wasn't lying about it. He even said it a couple of times. They weren't dangling the big enough carrot.
Yeah.
He wasn't lying about it. He wasn't pretending that it wasn't something. He's saying, "Hey, you guys are making all this money from these video games. Why should I not get, a big enough piece of the pie?"
Thing is, I've got a lot of respect for Mick Foley and always have had. I think he's never met the guy, but I think he comes over as a really nice guy. But he's turning, just like all the old wrestlers have done in the past, very bitter.
I think he's not very bitter. I think a little bit greedy. And maybe just right so. I think he's... Yeah. I think the fact is that, hey, he's done his time. He's all done with it. I think he's happy where he's at. I think he just wants to make a little bit more money now. He's thrown himself off of cages, off of cells, through tables, and he's all done with that. He's happy being done with that, and now he just wants he wants his money. He wants his share. James, what do you think?
This is hard. It's really hard to think about this, but at the same time, I think Foley has a point because he has sacrificed so much for WWE. I think even with the Legends deal, I think he should earn more than what he's getting.
Okay. The only thing is, I agree with both sides, but when you look at it in the real world, it's just someone who's too big for their own ego. Because, let's say for argument's sake, you work at Walmart. You work your bollocks off, serving the customers, filling up the shelves. You do probably overtime. You put more work in than any of your colleagues. Does anyone who work at Walmart goes to their boss and say, "Look, I get paid $9,000 a year. I want 32, or I'm not coming work in the morning"? Your boss would go, "Fuck off. Why should Mick Foley tell them how much he wants to earn? He should be thankful he's got a fucking job at his age."
Well, Andy, something you got to remember about Mick, even back when he was in wrestling, actually in ring, he was considered one of the cheapest guys behind the scenes. One of the nicest, but he loved pinching his pennies. And two, he has other means of making money. Like, he is literally kind of like on got a comedy gig going, like actually in clubs.
Well, and that's it. Let's face it. Foley does have ways of making money other than the WWE. He can go, like you said, he can go to stand-up comedy. He can, write books. He can go out and do anything else to make money other than the WWE. So why is this really an issue? So that's a valid point, and I think that's what Andy's maybe trying to say. You know,
He's getting an income. It's like me saying, Rick, I'm making a video game, I'm putting your name in it, and then in 12 months' time you receive a cheque for $12,000. You're not going to moan about it. You're going to think, oh, mighty nice of Andy to give me royalties. I didn't expect it.
But you know what?
Even if Mick Foley expected it, he hasn't really done anything. It's a video game. And all these people that jump up and down and say, but Mick Foley threw himself off scaffolding. He set himself on fire. He's had barbed wire matches. That's how he made his name. He chose to do that. Vince has never told him. In fact, when you watch his own video and read his book, Vince basically said to him when he came off the top of the cage, if you ever do that again, I'll fucking fire you. He appreciated what he did, and it made the match. Let's put all the cards on the table here. Without all the stunt work, for the want of a better term, and he's a nice guy, would Mick Foley ever be in the WWE? Would he? Bollocks.
You're probably right, and again, we're all making valid points, but I don't think when you go into this stuff, you also, that's your personal, who your person is. Andy, if I said, okay, listen, I'm going to make a video game and I'm going to put you on, let's flip it. I say, all right, and I'm making $1 million and I don't give you squat, of course you're going to come after me and say, hey, where's my cut? And if I only give you 11,000 and I'm making $1 million, you're going to want more than that. You're going to want more than, a little bit than 11,000. You're going to want your cut of it. And if the next year you find out that I'm making more than 11 million, if I'm making 20 million or 30 million, you're going to want a bigger cut. The greed does come out.
My honest opinion would be, if the WWE had an ounce of brain cells when it comes to marketing, they could answer Mick Foley and every other wrestler that's probably going to bitch about being in the 2K14 games. And that is, buy the game with NXT people who earn shit money, and you have to buy, if you want to be Mick Foley, buy him for 50 cents. Download him.
Make him a downloadable character, huh?
Yeah, so then they can say, look, Mick, we only had 1 million downloads. 1 million downloads at 50 cents per download works out at this amount. You're getting a quarter, so there's your 100,000.
Well,
he's got no argument then, because to be perfectly honest, I've got the 2K14 game. Do I play as the character Mick Foley? Do I? Shit. It's nice that he's in the game. Would I play as the Ultimate Warrior? Not really. You play as the people who are on TV now. I'm the biggest Austin fan ever. Do I play as Austin in the game? Do I? Shit, I play as John Cena. He's current.
Yeah, and again, you know what, though? Even if Mick Foley wasn't on the game, what are people going to do? They're going to make Mick Foley, and that's what a lot of people like to do in these games. They want to create these, recreate them. That's basically how they do
your
it.
Own.
Yeah. They want to come closest to making it. If they're already in the game, then what's the real fun of it? And I even find people who are if they're even in the game, they'll recreate their own because they want to see how close they can make it. And then they'll use their music. The only thing that's not their music, and nowadays you can even upload the music.
I've come across, they had AJ Styles complete setup in there. They had Samoa Joe. They've had Kevin Nash when he was in the NWO. They really go in there. So, I can understand Mick Foley asking for money for royalties if his character is in there.
Yeah.
Well, guys, and again, you can see both sides of the story, and I can understand why. Maybe he's being greedy. Maybe he's not. Maybe he, at the end, he might, chop his nose off for the want of a better term for this. You never know. He might say in a year, you know what, maybe I should have done it. Maybe I should have just taken the money and ran. But let's move along, guys. We are in the moment. And, of course, this week we have another word search of the week. And the word search of the week is knockout. And this is all comes up and down to when wrestlers knock out the fans. We talk about when Austin Aries knocked out a fan. This was before he actually joined TNA. This is back in the Ring of Honor, guys.
I've seen this. I've seen this while we was talking about Mick Foley. I'm like, damn, he got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, he did. And the funny thing is, these fans actually were waiting for Austin Aries after the show. The security was trying to tell him, hey guys, go home, look, the show's over, and it was just ridiculous. How can fans take things so far and even wait to after and just want a piece of a wrestler? I've never seen something such foolishness.
Rick, I hate to interrupt you on this, but I'll take you back to in the 1990s when I was a manager. I went down to Memphis, Tennessee for the debut of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and because I attacked Jim Cornette, okay, I was labeled the supreme bad guy. And then being a New Yorker, that even made it worse. So there were people literally throwing stuff at us. We couldn't get weighted in diners. I mean, there are still people out there that really take it serious. Now, I'm talking about kayfabe serious. Then you have the average fans that think, well, here's a wrestler. I could just beat him up and prove that he's nothing.
Yeah.
Those are the fans that you see. And it shouldn't be knockout. The word should be lawsuit.
Hey, Joe, I want to apologize for throwing that battery at your head.
That was you.
I was 3 at the time, but...
Have you seen the one with Chris Jericho? There's one that's about 5 or 6 years old, and if you go on YouTube and type in Chris Jericho, it's a fan. There's a woman I think she's asking for he's on the parking lot. He's getting in his car with a friend. And a woman comes up and asks for an autograph, and he signs the autograph, and he starts to get in his car, and a boyfriend who's standing there just waiting to get the autograph says he's being disrespectful because he won't stand and talk to her in the car park. Well, as far as I'm concerned, he signed an autograph, shook her hand, and started on his journey to probably go back home, and the boyfriend's kicked off, and Jericho knocked 7 balls of shit out the guy. And when I watched that video, I had more respect for Jericho than I've ever had, because people have always said he's a pussy. He ain't no pussy. Watch the video on YouTube. He sparks the guy out the size of Big Show.
Yeah, and basically that's pretty much what happens here is Aries, the security comes back and says, look, I got to walk you back to your car, and Aries is like, look, he puts his hands on me, it's game on, and that's pretty much what happens. He says, look, hey, back off, you put your hands on me, it's going to be game on, back off. So he rolls up his sleeves, and the guy tries to walk up to him, and then bang, he pushes him, and he just slugs him, and the guy goes down. Guy number 2 walks up to him, he slugs him, and he goes down, and the guy's spits out a couple of teeth, and he's like, it really hurts. Oh my God, it really, really hurts. He didn't realize that when you punch in wrestling, they're pulling their punches, and he wasn't pulling punches.
It's one of them. It's one of them comedy moments, like the first time you ever have your first proper fist fight at school. I can remember. You watch all these John Wayne movies and stuff when you were kids, and when somebody hits somebody, you get that whack noise like on Batman. I can remember hitting this guy when I was about 12 or 13 in the playground. I punched him with everything I'd got, and it didn't make a noise, and he was still standing. And I was like, oh shit. Because when they do that on the television, there's a big thwack noise, blood goes everywhere, and they fall on the floor. And I hit him with everything I'd got. And the only thing that went through my head is when he just sort of stood there and looked at me. Oh, shit. This is going to hurt.
Yeah.
You got knocked the fuck out, man!
Pretty much. Well, guys, let's move along to WWE has 8 predictions for WrestleMania 31, guys. Now, I'm just going to read these off before you guys have your chime in on them. The first one is John Cena will join the Wyatt family. The second one is Roman Reigns will win the 2015 Royal Rumble match. The third is WWE World Heavyweight Champion will be split back into 2 titles. Fourth is Stephanie McMahon will target the Divas Championship. The fifth is Zeb Coulter will form a stable of the Real Americans. The sixth is Cody Rhodes will win and cash in Money in the Bank. The seventh, Cesaro will break away from Paul Heyman and challenge Brock Lesnar. And the eighth and final one, which is the only one I really believe out of this whole list, is The Undertaker will retire.
They are all about, apart from the last one, they are all about as believable as those idiots that, don't forget, send us your text. Who is John Cena going to fight next?
Yeah,
If people,
pretty much.
If people send a text at 25 cents, whatever it is, to the WWE thinking that they are actually making that match, they are proper marks.
I totally agree with you.
And
Absolutely.
Billy, that goes out to you too.
Oh,
Jeez.
be nice, nice.
Because he's even admitted on shows in the past that he's phoned it. I want John Cena fight the Ultimate Warrior. And you think, Billy, wrestling's all scripted. There's a little board in the background that tells every single match. There's no matches that are done blind.
As we all seen, when every time somebody goes to the TNA curtain, there's always a rundown hanging on the wall that they use as a weapon.
I'm glad you've noticed it, because I have every time they go in the back. It's even got like walk-ins, and if you look craftily, you'll see like the next segment. It says Bubba Ray gets beat up in car park.
This list is
Yeah, pretty much.
I've seen it a couple of times on TNA, and it's always made me giggle. In fact, because I DVR it, I've slowed it right down and stopped it. And then it'll say, Bubba Ray gets jumped on in car park, and then you get Mike Tenay, whatever his name is, or the commentator in Taz. Oh my God, let's go!
I'm looking at this list. First of all, can you imagine John Cena with a long beard? That makes as much sense as Daniel Bryan shaving again. I can see Roman Reigns winning a Royal Rumble, because I think next year should be his breakout year.
You know what? I would honestly, yeah.
Now,
that's a possibility.
Yeah. Cody Rhodes winning any cash in the bank, money in the bank, or winning and then trying to cash. I don't see that anymore, because he's been there, done that. Cesaro, I can see it happening with him breaking away, but to challenge Brock Lesnar, I don't see that.
Well, there was that report that they is maybe possibly thinking of doing that, but at WrestleMania 31, I highly doubt it.
You know what, guys? It's like I said, Brock Lesnar, and these guys are taking some time off here, but Brock Lesnar should be the one beating Daniel Bryan for the heavyweight title soon. And then, if you're going to do anything with Cesaro, then have him take on Brock Lesnar next year, for that WrestleMania world title shot. But it's going to have to take a good storyline to do that. Undertaker retiring, I think he should have retired 2 years ago. So.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The splitting of the two titles, I don't see that happening. I think what Andy said with the new logo coming up, they're probably going to form that into one title. We've been talking about that for a while, and I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of get rid of the world title and make one WWE World Heavyweight Championship title.
Now, you know what? I want to say something before regarding those two belts, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this. Haven't you noticed when it was on Randy Orton, okay, and the predecessors, like John Cena and so forth, basically they always treated the WCW belt, I don't care if it was the SmackDown Heavyweight title, whatever, the World Heavyweight Championship, to me it was always will be the NWA/WCW belt. Haven't you noticed that those guys, the pro WWE guys, would toss the belt in the ring? They would just hold it like by the strap. If not, they'll put it on their shoulder. Daniel Bryan is the only person I've seen that actually wraps the World Heavyweight title around his waist while carrying the WWE one on his shoulder.
Yeah. I noticed that.
Yes.
I think he's actually has more respect for the tradition, because he's not technically he's not really a homegrown talent. He's an independent talent. So, just wanted to see if anybody else noticed that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, and now the Zeb Coulter forming a stable of the Real Americans, he already did that. Now maybe it was a tag team of the Real Americans, but to form a stable, does that seem feasible?
Yes, if you got Hulk Hogan in there.
Brother.
He's been on Twitter saying, "Hey, anybody wants to join Real Americans?" I just don't see it. I think it's just gonna be him and Swagger. I don't see anybody else. I just don't see anybody. I don't know who would you put on there for Real Americans.
Now let me ask you guys this: instead of the little cliche Real Americans, because that's always going to be directed to Hulk Hogan, wouldn't it be better if he had a stable or a new tag team called the Border Patrol? Tee-hee.
The Border Patrol?
Oh, damn.
Oh, no.
I think that's going to cause more controversy than it is.
But you know what? Eric
we have
Bischoff
enough controversy
says
for tonight.
controversy creates cash.
That's true.
Oh, God. Well, you know what, guys? I think we can move on to one of our final topics for In the Moment, which is Extreme Rises has canceled all shows. Extreme Rises' Steve O'Neill made the following announcement today. Extreme Rises live events for Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, Friday, April 25th, Saturday, April 26th, Saturday, and May 3rd are canceled. For full refunds, please contact your credit card company or bank directly. After Bank Rising canceled all events this weekend, both Maryland Championship Wrestling and Omega have offered on tickets for fans who purchased Extreme Rising tickets. Joe, I know you've been dying to rant, so I'm going to just kick it off to you.
You know what? I can't believe this is such a crock. Because here is Shane Douglas, who preached about Extreme Rising. It's going to be the big thing. He's going to be the next big thing. He's done this so many times, and he's canceled these shows. So there's nothing wrong with promoters canceling shows, mind you. But when you do it constantly, especially one of this magnitude, and he does this like all the time, and then you won't see Extreme Rising back, and then it comes back another year. Well, we're bigger, better, and we learned our lessons. And this is what gets me, okay, because being a former promoter and running the Classic Wrestling Association, my theme was bringing back classic professional wrestling from the 80s and a little bit of the 90s. Right after I made that announcement, okay, folks, due to reasons, we're going to close down for a time being. Shane Douglas decides to open the Classic Wrestling Federation with the same theme. Well, we're going to provide you classic professional wrestling. Isn't that coincidence that he does that while canceling out all the Extreme Rising shows? And basically, this just killed his credibility. So I mean, this just irritates me that he would jump from one thing to another. And something of this magnitude, knowing that, hey, you got, this type of crowd that's interested, and then you're promoting ECW. Now you're breaking away from ECW to go someplace else. To me, that sounds, like, well, geez, I kind of realized that ECW is not really pulling in. And I say that to everybody. Anybody who thinks that these ECW reunion shows are anything, it's crap. People don't want to see that anymore. It's been there, done that. So there you go. I'm sorry I had to rant, but I to me it just irritates me, especially with someone like Shane.
Well, it just seems that like you said, he's canceled not one show but two shows, and from what I've read, several other independent shows are really disgusted by his actions. So you are not the only promoter who's really upset by what he's been doing lately. Andy, your thoughts?
Well, first time I saw anything about it was our old friend Axel, who commented on his page, "Thanks once again for shitting all over the ECW stars." He's obviously fell for the bullshit again from the franchise who did it. Was it last year, I believe? Said he was going to do this, that, and the other, and then at the last minute pulled the plug.
Yep.
He's done exactly the same thing again, and he's upset not only Axel, but a load of other people, and it's like, that's it, not trusting the guy ever again. I don't know why people trust him, because it's, from what I've read, it's probably the third time now that he's promised an ECW reunion, and it's not happened. And if you notice, the thing that sucks, he's actually put from his company, if you require a refund, contact your bank. So obviously he's not going to pay refunds either. It's like PayPal. You get the money off PayPal and I'll run off with the takings, because that's what he's done. And that's what Axel's basically put down. If you notice, he's not paying you any money back. He's telling you contact your bank.
Yeah.
And again, he's also, like Andy just said, he didn't do it just now. He did it before, and he did it last year. And now he wants to open a new promotion. And recently I saw a video where he was at a convention boasting about how the CWF is going to be new. I'm coming up with this new project that it's called Classic Wrestling Federation and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to bring back old school. And you just went from ECW to try to do this. How much credibility are you going to have? I mean, for a minor promoter like me, I would get slack, but it wouldn't be as much slack as someone who's been a legend in the business, who's been in the business for a long time. I think that's what mostly gets everybody irritated, because this wasn't the first time he's done it. He's done it many times last year and, totally shit on the ECW guys. And again, and to me personally, I don't see the appeal. ECW will always be that little promotion in the 90s that had Rey Mysterio, Dean Malenko, Benoit, Guerrero, the Eliminators, the Pitbulls. That was then. You can't redo it now.
Yeah, it's like these people on the WWE keep saying, bring back the Attitude Era. We haven't got the characters for the Attitude Era, and you've got to move on. The Attitude Era was over 10 years ago, and the funny thing is, somebody posted it on a page. I can't remember whose page I read it on, but I thought, I've never read a truer statement in my life. 90% of the people who were saying, bring back the Attitude Era, weren't even old enough to watch it.
I absolutely agree. Will, what are your thoughts about this whole Extreme Rises cancels and everything? What do you know?
As James welcomes me in, you bastard. And evening, everyone. I'm going to make it short to the point. Shane Douglas never had credibility to begin with. I mean, this guy's an utter joke. And, I liked how Omega stepped up, and I also read the article, and they said they're willing to do their shows over there for only $5. I mean, I never really liked Shane Douglas. I think this whole franchise gimmick thing, he's not a true person. I can't take away from what he's done, but to do this to people who want to watch the event, what an ass. So frankly, like Joe said, the irritation what he's going through and how he's just, I'm gonna run with the money, asshole. So I feel your pain, Joe, because if you're gonna open a promotion, stick with it instead of going in and out like a fast food restaurant, because that's what he's doing, and it just sucks. It's just utterly pathetic in my opinion.
All right, James, over to you.
Well, just what everybody says. It's gonna hurt his credibility as a promoter. You do constant cancellation. What does it say about you as a promoter? You keep constantly canceling your shows, and people start hating them. So yeah, it's just not good.
All right, Lance, your thoughts?
Well, okay, the first time he tried this, the whole Extreme Rising thing was, I believe, Hardcore Homecoming, which I actually have both events, but he needs to realize that there's only been one sort of kind of try to bring back ECW that's been a little bit kind of sort of surviving, and that's Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore. But from what I understand, he doesn't try to reestablish it. And Joe, don't worry, if this is anything like this new Classic Wrestling Federation is anything like any of his other try to be wrestling leagues, it'll be done in one or two events.
All right. Well, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up here, and we want to thank everyone for listening, and we want to make sure you put your comments in the comment section below. What do you think about the franchise and his actions? Andy, where can everyone find you at?
Yeah, you can find me at www.stokehaunted.com.
We have the Classic Wrestling Manager, Joseph Knight. Joe, what do you got going on?
Right now, believe it or not, I'm getting some projects going together. I'm actually going to bring back the CWA, so that's kind of my little project right now. I'm working on a couple of little projects, maybe even a little web show just to throw in my faces and versus segments. But you can find me on Twitter at JKnightManager and also on Facebook at Joseph Knight Manager.
We have the incomparable Lance Moss, and you can find him over at youtube.com/LanceMossTV. Lance, what do you got going on over there?
Album reviews, NASCAR discussion videos, redneck gourmet cooking videos, and some guitar work and whatever else pops into my head.
We have the iVlog tag team in the house. First, we have James from the Big Easy. James, what do you got going on?
The NFL schedule is out, and I do not want to go Atlanta week 1. Anyway, you can find me on ivlog.tv/user/Hatboy504.
All right, and you can tag your partner in, and that's the Bay Area MVP, known as Will.
Yes, NFL season is coming up, and I'll see James week 10. So, ha.
Is it week? I thought it was week 8.
Who cares? And I'm also at iBlog.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
iBlog.tv/user/favorite MVP. Next week we'll be getting ready to watch the draft and getting ready to throw it in James's face.
And, of course, you can always find us over at our Facebook page at facebook.com/hardcorewrestlingradio. And always, make sure you subscribe to us over at our YouTube page at youtube.com/HWR Show. Make sure you like us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. So for everyone here, I'm the Shining Star, Rick Star, saying we'll see you when we see you.